All right. What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. How you doing?
Good. Thanks. Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really excited to find out what we're going to be talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I'll explain it real quick. Like I said on the YouTube thread, you came and said that I was in denial about not getting destroyed by Vosh or whatever it was. So I said to
yeah, you lost that debate. Yeah.
Right. So I said to you that he made 4 objectively false statements, and as far as I can tell, I didn't make any. So that's essentially what I want to go through with you. Now, I'm assuming you, in preparation, maybe watched the debate again and came up with your own scoreboard, so to speak.
No, I watched it probably about 4 months ago. Yeah, I honestly didn't really know what you wanted to talk about. I was hoping you'd tell me like those 4 things. I could decide whether or not I actually felt strongly one way or another, but I didn't have that. So no, I'm coming into this totally unprepared, man. Yeah, we'll just see how it goes.
All right. Well, we'll just go through the 4 things here then. I don't want to.
Sure. One thing I do want to make clear before I start though, like, can I do like a quick little intro for myself? Is that all right? Like,
yeah, go nuts.
Yeah, cool. So look, sometimes they call me Jono. You can call me that if it's easier. I make videos sometimes on things that I care about. I mean, I guess LP's characterization of it's reasonably accurate. Like, I do have to say I'm a little bit unsure about this whole Vosh fan thing. Like I don't mind Vosh. I like watching him dump on you guys. But I don't necessarily count myself as a fan. And I'm definitely not here to sort of serve as a proxy for Vosh. Like, I probably have my own feelings on a lot of these things. So yeah, I guess we'll see what you have to say, and I'll tell you whether I agree or disagree, I suppose. Yeah.
All right, that's fair. I mean, you like Vosh enough that you felt the need to come to my channel and tell me how badly he obliterated me. So
I thought that was just funny as fuck. Yeah, that's just me, man. Yeah. Right. I will admit, I like seeing alt-righters dumped on. I do. Yeah.
You like to see what dumped on?
Alt-righters dumped on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Shoot.
I'm assuming you don't agree with the premise, or do you not care, or do you have any? You seem skeptical, but I'm just curious if you want to take like a more solid position just on the premise itself. Like,
which premise? Sorry,
that Vosh said these things that were objectively false during the debate.
Oh, look, I mean, like I say, I mean, I don't know. You
watched the debate, though, right?
I watched that debate. Yeah, I watched that debate like 4 months ago, and certainly at the time, like, there was, like, in my mind, there was just no doubting, like, he absolutely obliterated you. Now, that might be because, he's just a far better rhetorician. I think that, that's quite possible. Maybe he was wrong about some things. Maybe there's new data now. I guess, it depends on the topic. I don't know.
So I wouldn't consider like new data now necessarily being relevant. Like, I'm basing this on what was available at the time.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Fair enough.
First of all.
Did you? Well, I guess my first question is then going to be, did you bring it up with Vosh at the time?
No, not necessarily.
Why not?
Well, it's not my problem if you can't parse fiction from reality, right? Like, that's more of a you problem.
Right, but still lost that debate though, didn't you?
Well, no, that's just your opinion. Like, I don't give a shit about your opinion. I especially don't give a shit about the opinion of somebody who can't parse truth from reality. Like, why would I?
Well, I mean, we haven't established that about me yet. I guess we'll see how this goes. But at the same time, like, I guess, like, if we're talking about whether or not you lost that debate, if he said things and you've got things that kind of counter that position, and you haven't brought it up in the debate, then isn't that a pretty significant point against you?
No, not necessarily. We'll go into this in more detail when we get into the actual weeds.
Sure. I thought, like I say, I thought debates were supposed to be about exchanging positions and facts and stuff. But
it's not necessarily if you're dealing with somebody who just lies, anyways, right? Like, just to go over the meta position here really quickly. Like, you mentioned rhetoric, which is good because the way I look at the debate here is that there's basically two main things that you could judge it on. There's the rhetorical skills of the people, and then there's the dialectic art, which is like just their truthfulness, basically how correct they are in the things that they're saying.
I mean, I have a different definition of dialectic. To me, dialectics is when you look at a subject from a range of different perspectives and come to the most reasonable one. I don't think dialectics necessarily means truth.
So I use it. I'm using it here as a synonym for truth. We can just say truth if we want. Like my definition of dialectic, my more pedantic definition would be the art of getting to the truth, right? And you have to look at things from different perspectives to do that, et cetera, et cetera. But basically, I'm saying you have these two things, which is how correct the shit is that the people are saying, and then you have like just their persuasion skills and convincing the people listening that they 100%. Are correct. Now, 100%. For me, the truth trumps the rhetoric. It doesn't matter to me how good your rhetoric is if the shit you're saying is false.
I think in an ideal world, that's absolutely true. But I think in reality, not necessarily. Yeah, like when it comes to convincing.
Well, I'm not talking about whether or not you're persuading people. I understand that you can persuade people and convince people that you're doing well by having rhetorical skill. I'm saying for me personally, if I detect you saying things that are false, that's like a disqualifier for me. I'm going to say you lost. Do you agree or disagree with that?
No, when it comes to a debate, I don't agree with that. No, because I mean, I absolutely would agree with you.
So you don't give a shit if the person is like saying things that are accurate.
I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that at all,
man. We just solved the whole disagreement right there. You don't care about the truth.
I didn't say that at all, though. Did I?
We should just fucking hang it up right now, buddy. I'm not going to argue truth with somebody who doesn't think it matters. You know what I mean?
Now who's lying? Do you want to hear me say it specifically? Right, the truth to me matters more than rhetoric. But when it comes to debates, I don't think that you necessarily lost just because you said something that was wrong. It depends on what you mean by, winning or losing. Is the point to convince people or is the point to be correct? I think
to be correct,
especially in this. Well, and I would love that to be the case. I really, really would. But I think that in this internet sphere that we exist in, I really don't think that's been the case ever, and I don't think it's really been the case throughout human history. I'm not talking
about the internet and history. I'm talking about you personally. Would you consider it a deal breaker for somebody to be wrong, even if they were more, persuasive?
For me personally, not wrong on any one thing. Obviously, I'm wrong on things sometimes. I can put my hand up and accept that. Everyone's wrong about something sometimes.
Well, you don't consider that to be a disqualifier in a debate to come out and say that are objectively false.
Disqualifier or
like if somebody comes into a debate and they're just saying shit that is straight up bullshit, how do you crown that person the winner?
Based on rhetoric. I thought we said that.
So there's no point in us having this conversation. We can just agree to disagree because I value truth. Well, I mean, and you value rhetoric. We can just go our separate ways and call it a day. The thing I want you to understand though is like you can come to my channel and tell me how much I suck, but you have to understand that I can't possibly give a fuck about what somebody like you thinks when you come here and tell me that you don't care about the truth. You understand? Like your opinion means less than nothing to me.
But now you're lying.
Fucking nothing. I'm not lying. Well, I'm not lying. You just told me that you would crown the winner based on their rhetoric if they were less truthful.
And truth. I said rhetoric and truth.
Well, which one of those two things trumps the other?
How about we get to these points then? Can we do that? Can we get to these points? And I'll tell you whether I do agree or disagree with it.
All right.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So the first objectively false claim that Vosh made was at 6 minutes and 25 seconds into the debate when he claimed that the FBI has stats which show that white nationalists are committing a huge amount of gun violence.
Okay.
And that's not true.
Okay.
Do you? So you acknowledge that that's wrong?
I don't actually. I don't know.
Well, we're getting to the bottom of how you're so bad at parsing the truth, because you listen to this and why you're so impressed by rhetoric. If you don't know what's true and what's false, it's really easy to be persuaded by someone's rhetoric if you don't fucking know the facts of the matter. You know what I'm saying? But
my opinion on that subject is it's very strange for me. So I'm trying to cast my mind back. That was about it was about 4 months ago.
So I mean, I can I have everything timestamped. If there's any doubt here,
it was about 4 months.
I have everything timestamped, and we can listen to.
Yeah, it was about 4 months ago that I watched that video. I'm just trying to remember the context of that.
I honestly would have assumed you would have rewatched it in preparation for this. You had like a week.
So I'm gonna wait till you stop, and then I'll talk.
So I'm just saying, we agreed to this 5 days ago. I really assumed you would have rewatched the debate one time in preparation for this, because you knew this is what we were going to be talking about. And the fact that you're going to like kind of sit back and be like, well, I haven't watched it in 4 months, so I can't say this or that. It's kind of like, why did you show up without rewatching it? You know what I mean? You knew this was the topic.
Okay, can I talk now?
Yeah.
Cool, thanks. So I'm trying to remember. I believe that the context was around whether or not right or left wing, or no, was it Islam? Like, no, it was in the Vosh one. It was more about right or left wing people and whether they committed more violent crime or not. Is that correct? No. So I'll give you the context here. First of all, Vosh and I, the topic we agreed to debate was about whether or not Jonathan or Jessica Yaniv's trans identity was relevant to the whole scandal surrounding them. Right. So that was the topic we agreed to debate. And Vosh comes into the conversation and starts asking me what I think about this like scourge of white nationalism. Mm-hmm. And I said, what are you talking about? There's been one shooting, which was the Sao Paulo, whatever it was in Texas. I forget the name of the place. Some guy shot up a mall. Okay. And he was like, well, no, the FBI have stats. And again, if you think I'm misrepresenting it, we can like play. I'm not saying what you will. This is why, and I've got the screenshot here. Like, I wish you'd told me that this was the point you were going to bring up. And I did ask you, and you were being weirdly secretive. You didn't want to tell me what they were, what these points were, but that's fine. So it was that part of the conversation was about whether or not right or left wing people kill more people. Is that right? Not really. It was more It was more Vosh trying to claim that there was like this epidemic of white nationalist shootings, and he just brought this out of nowhere. And when I asked him where he was getting this from, he said that it was the FBI stats. And then when I asked him to show me the FBI stats, he was like, "Well, I don't know." And then he like kind of like tried to pivot to that he was talking about gun violence stats, which is like ridiculous because that doesn't make any sense. So the point here is that when he claimed there's FBI stats that show that there's a scourge of white nationalist shooters, that's a objectively false claim that he made. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I can only talk about it because I know that the world tends to be quite, centric to America, but I guess it's a little strange for me because, I come from Australia, and here it's like it's just clear cut here. Like, we've had sort of one terrorist incident in this country where like there was a hostage guy and I think 2 people died. But then we had an Australian guy go to New Zealand and like shoot Muslims at a mosque just because he was like indoctrinated by like Ben Shapiro and that. So I guess, if you're after my perspective on that, like it's... I gotta interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you right here. So it's... I mean, I get to say my bit. No, I get to say my bit. No. That's what I'm going to tell you is you don't get to ramble about irrelevant bullshit or I'm going to hang up on you. This is exactly what I want to interrupt you. What the hell, man? So every time I make a point, you're just going to get... You don't get to talk about relevant bullshit. Listen. This is about the third time that you said you don't want to do it. Listen to me. Look, if you wanted to talk about this specifically, what you should have done is told me that this was the topic you wanted to talk about. Did I not tell you that the topic was about Bosch's 4 false statements? You told me that it was 4 false statements, and I asked you what they were. You said you wouldn't tell me. Because if I tell you in the comment section, you're going to start arguing with me in the comment section, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to have a fucking comment section debate. So you're right. Yeah, that's weak.
Hello? You're breaking up, man. You're not coming through. Hello? I'm gonna talk just hoping you can hear what I'm saying. So you're 19 hours ahead of me in Australia. It's 9 o'clock where I am, 9:15 now. Normally I would go to bed on a weekday anywhere from as early as 9 o'clock to like 10:30 at the latest. So because it's so late here and we had to do this because of our time zone difference, I have less patience than I would if we were doing this like 4 hours earlier. And I'm not going to sit here and listen to irrelevant bullshit. So if the topic on the table is whether or not Vosh was correct in claiming that the FBI has white nationalist terrorist stats, then I don't want to hear about, what happens in fucking New Zealand. Okay. That's not relevant to the topic. Yes, it's American centric because we're talking about the FBI. That's an American agency. So like that's one warning in terms of rambling about irrelevant shit. If you keep doing that, I will just hang up.
So are you going to stop pretending that you can't hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, good. I'm glad you can hear me now.
If you think I'm pretending, man, you can look at the chat where people are saying that you're roboting and that your software is glitching and shit.
Yeah, sure. Hey, listen. So again, I mean, we've already covered that point. Like you said that you didn't want to tell me what the debate topics were, right? So I'm going to talk about my feelings on the subject. Like, if you wanted to talk about something specific, you should have told me what those specific topics
so
were.
The topic is whether or not these statements are true or false.
You didn't tell me that. You just said you had 4 things that you wanted to talk about. And I know that you really, really want to get to a point where you can argue with me something that you know I haven't been able to prepare for because you didn't tell me what the subjects were going to be. All I can do is tell you my perspective and my positions. Like, if you wanted a debate about a specific topic, you should have said that.
The topic is whether or not Vosh made more false statements during the debate than I did. I was very clear about that.
No, what you said was Vosh made 4 false statements. And I said, which ones? And you said, basically, I'm not telling you. And I said, right, so you want to get it so that you've got a tiny channel that you can try and dump on and just, not allow them to prepare. And you said yes. Like, that's what happened.
Right. And I told you that you should show up with anything you think that I said was false during the debate.
Yeah. I know that's what you wanted me to try to do, but I didn't. I don't. I can only talk to you about my perspective.
And you're telling me you don't have any false claims that I made. And if I talk to you about Vosh's claims and you don't know, you're not well versed enough to respond, you're just going to ramble to me about your feelings. Is what you're telling me.
I'm going to ramble to you about my perspective.
I'm not interested. I'm not interested, dude.
So you're going to do what you did to Jangles, and you're just going to go off in a huff because it's not going the way you wanted it to?
Yes, I will hang up. That's what the chat is telling me to do right now too.
You can do that if you want, coward. That's fine. Like, I don't care.
All right, have a good night. Nice
See ya, loser. Oh God, you can't win, can you, man? It was a 1K channel, and you still couldn't win.